There we go. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Another episode of Accelerated Results Podcast. I have a great guest for you today. Definitely going to be informed. This is my brother, my one of my mentors, inspiration, all of the things, and I cannot be more excited to have this guest on today. Once again, it's Accelerated Results Podcast, where we look to help young athletes, parents, and coaches win. We just want to see you win. So today, y'all, I'm excited. I have Coach Angel Macedon. Man, this is my guy. I don't know. We've probably known each other for a good 20 years.
That's what I'm thinking. I was reflecting on that after you gave me the invite. And first of all, let me say I was extremely flattered that you extended yourself to me this way. And let me make sure we get that out the way. And man, it's just good to be here.
Absolutely. And so this is so interesting. I'm gonna read your bio real quick, right? This is just a snippet of the things that you do and who you are. And then I'm gonna tell my personal kind of testimony, right? So started out in 1999 as a personal trainer at Club One, where we met.
I was tearing it up too.
Right. He is a true owner of AM Performance. He's a performance coach right now at Oakland High and the Bay Area Wildcats. And he consults and trains private clients one-on-one as well. This is one of my favorite. He's also a father of 3 and has a grandson. Amen.
Oh, yeah.
So a father, a coach, a guide, all of those things. Welcome to the show, Brother Angel.
Thank you so much, young man. I appreciate it. I really do.
And yeah, like I said, I mean, it's so interesting because you never know who you're in the company of, right? And I talk a lot when I go to schools. I talk to students about this. Like, you do not know all the time who people are when you're in their presence. And when we met so long ago, I was just a snot-nosed kid running around the streets of Club One, trying to figure out my life in college and over here and over there. Meanwhile, here is this grandmaster trainer. And I had no ambition at the time of becoming a trainer or a strength and conditioning coach or even this performance coach that I am now. And lo and behold, here you are in my presence, in my midst, someone who is actually doing this thing. And I'm so grateful that we were able to keep connection and have conversations and that you are still around and in my life. So I just want to say that and appreciate that. And it just reminds me to ask what people do and have a reverence and understanding for who people are. Give them their flowers now.
Give them I like that, man. That's not a copyright, is it? I can use that.
It's out there. Somebody may have a copyright, but I don't think so.
All right.
Yeah, definitely. I just wanted to say that, and the wealth of knowledge and experience. If you guys don't know, a coach is really helping young athletes perform in a different way on a different level, helping them from everything from improvement to recovery. And those are some of the things that I'm really interested in. So if you had to say, like, what is your official title? What would you call yourself?
What would I call myself? A change agent. Nice. Okay, I change people's lives. I don't always give myself I don't give myself the flowers I deserve sometimes for doing that, but it's something that's come natural to me. Tell you a quick story. I was going to become a priest, okay, and I was accepted into the order of Jesuits, right? Nice. I was on my last interview, right? And once the interview was done, it was just a done deal. It was a formality. The interview was simply a formality. Man, so I'm in here and we're talking and I'm answering all the questions that my senior had for me. And then he said, son, do you have any questions for me? What's on your mind, right? And I thought for a moment, and I asked him, I said, well, Monsignor, may I ask you something kind of personal? He goes, yes, my son, go right ahead. I said, well, how do you not have sex for the rest of your life? Because that's what happens if I make this commitment, right?
Right.
Is there some chant? Is there something that you do that's really special? Because I was 13. So, okay. So stuff's starting to pop off, going on, I'm not sure about. And he paused for a moment and he took his hands and went like that. And he looked up and leaned over at me and said, son, you're just going to have faith.
Wow.
And I thought to myself, how am I going to explain to my mother I don't want to become a priest?
Right.
Oh, that was the longest walk home.
No, thank you. Right.
That was the longest walk home. Well, I knew it for myself. That probably wouldn't have been the right choice for me. I didn't want to deal with that kind of struggle, and I felt like I could still help people. Mm-hmm. Because that was what drew me to the priesthood. And I was in Catholic school and, all that kind of stuff too, right? So I thought to myself, well, I'm going to have to help people in another way.
Right. 13 years old. Wow.
13 years old. Yeah.
Crazy. You can get a job at 13 years old, a whole career.
Okay. You hear me?
Yeah, because that kind of leads me into my next question. Like, what would you say your purpose is? I heard you mention helping people. And so I wanted to ask two things, right? You kind of touched on both of those. Like, what was it like for you growing up? And then what would you say your purpose was?
Oh, man, growing up, we don't have enough time to actually have that whole conversation. I see if I can give you some snippets.
Right.
Okay. So I come from a large family, which was certainly not unusual for my generation. There are 9 of us, right? I have 6 younger sisters, wow. And I have 2 older brothers. One of my sisters passed away, God rest her soul. I grew up, we started out, my mother, a single mother, and we lived in Double Rock. Before campus, that's the deep hood, 3rd Street, way out there.
Okay.
Yeah. And we lived in a tiny, I guess it must have been about 2 rooms, right? And my mother worked as a waitress at okay. So we were there for a minute, and then family started to grow a little bit, and we ended up in a Victorian in the Hague.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. I love that place. We don't have it anymore, but I love that place. And I went to Catholic schools primarily. My mom thought that would be the best situation for me. So, and it was a good choice. I enjoyed, for the most part, I enjoyed my experiences in that environment. I like the togetherness of it and the spiritual aspect of it.
Yeah.
That I really appreciate. So, had lots of friends. Played sports. Swimming was my first sport.
Nice. Okay.
Bruh, back in the day, man, my first taught myself swimming.
Right.
There'd be times we go to Santa Clara for a meet. I might be the only brother in the town. much less competing. You know what I'm saying? But that was my love. I did that I competed 6 or 7 years. So that was my first sport. And then I discovered, some of these other things, man, baseball and basketball and, and football and all that kind of stuff. So that kind of drew me away from the swimming.
Nice. And so you've been an athlete, you've been in this space, and that kind of leads you toward. So what would you say your purpose is now? And how did you discover it?
Okay. My purpose now, right, is to continue on this path of personal growth. Part of my childhood experience, there were some difficulties and there were some challenges, okay? And it took me becoming a parent, right? Hands-on, day-to-day, And then moving out of that space, getting a chance to reflect on that experience. And I started to think, oh my goodness, I got a lot of stuff going on, man. I ain't checked in about.
Right.
A lot of behaviors and things that I just took for normal, right, were not the best. It was not the best thing for me. So I'm unpacking, right? I'm dealing with the process of unpacking, you know, because it's challenging. You know, it's not always always, you know, fun.
Not the pretty parts. It's not always the pretty parts. Right.
No, it's not. No, it's not. So even at this age, and I'm 67, I'm learning to be me without apologies.
Yes. So what's so interesting, right? As a coach, one of the things I talk about, or one of the things that I came to the realization is, and I tell other coaches, that we touch too many lives not to work on our own.
Oh man, you'll see stuff. If you got your eyes, you'll see stuff. You're like, oh man, I had no idea I was like that.
Right. And that's the value of having a coach, right? You think about it like in the context, right? When you got an athlete, like the kid we talked about a little while ago, who had the ankle thing, right?
Yes.
Or sometimes it's like you got a kid, you're watching them shoot, you see his elbow flying out, and you're saying, hey, I noticed that your elbow flies out when you shoot. And they're looking around like, what you talking about? Right? The value of that coach being on the outside, being able to see you and share what they see, and then you being open enough to say, take a look, right? Because a lot of times we don't know what we don't know. And that part of that personal discovery is having someone that we trust enough to say, this is the experience of you.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Like, I know who you think you are.
Yes.
But this is how the world is experiencing you.
Yeah.
And
well,
so, yeah, it's just as coaches, I think, you know, there's a value.
Yeah, I'll tell you something. There are, we have a coach on staff, right? A wonderful staff, an incredible staff. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been there for as long as I've been there, right? And this one guy, Will Liu, has such a way of communicating. And he's actually helped me. I've never said this to him, and I'm going to, but he's helped me to get to a new place as a coach as he's been holding a mirror up to me, in other words.
Yeah, there we go. Amen.
And the way he does it is so smooth, right? You know, it's never confrontational, right? It's really thoughtful, right? And he always does it at the right moment. And he usually poses it as a question. Wow, coach, you might want to look at that because maybe there's another way. And he walk away from me. Walk away with a big smile on his face, just walk away from me. And he's usually right, you know, and it's impacted how I communicate with the kids, you know. Nowadays we can't, I don't think we can take that for granted. You know, kids are built a little bit differently, and that's not a critique as much as it's an observation. Right. So being able to communicate like with that kid you're talking about, we have a kid right now, the senior. You mentioned the elbow flying out, right? Right. Wonderful athlete, wonderful kid, great family and all that. Jump shot kind of iffy because he's making some mistakes. We've been trying to tweak it now for years, and he just hasn't been open to it. Must have been about a month ago. Pull him over to the side. We should pull him over to the side. I say, "Hey man, how you doing? I'm doing well, coach." I say, "So how's your shot?" He says, "Well, I'm a little frustrated with it, coach." First time he admitted that ever. Right? I said, "Well, what's frustrating about it?" He says, "Well, I think I should be shooting the ball better." I said, "Well, is there anything I can do to help you?" Oh yeah, coach.
Right.
So I didn't mention anything about the previous 3 years.
Right.
I didn't mention that. I would have in the past to make a point. But I've learned that is not necessary. This is a child, a young man, but still, this is a kid. Right. Not understanding all these things, not grasping some of these complex concepts, right? So for me to point out to him, man, I tried to help you with this 3 years ago, you didn't want to do it, it's not going to serve anybody. It's certainly not going to help him. So we move forward. So, I took a video of him shooting. He's like, wow, coach, I never looked at myself shoot.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, right.
So we talked about that. We talked about his thought processes. Because I was curious, so you've never watched yourself shoot? He goes, no. I said, well, what did you find out? Well, I got a chance to look at my biomechanics.
Right. Because it feels good. So we think it's good.
So it opened up his head and got him to start thinking how he should do some review, right? Do some be introspective a little bit. Athletes create a bubble sometimes, and that that ego to protect themselves from all these different messages they're getting and all this different input, and sometimes they close themselves off from an opportunity to improve.
No, that's good. That's good. Yeah, definitely. You can definitely see that happening. That's good. That's good insight. That great awareness and helping the athlete. I like the fact that Coach Lou uses questions, right? Because questions kind of break down the ego, right? That's a strategy. When you come in, if you throwing punches, the ego says, "Watch out." But when you pose a question, you come in with your hands behind your back. So there's no fight, right? You can't fight.
He knows I love questions.
Right.
He knows I love questions.
Right. You can't fight a question. I love that. Thinking about him, and just thinking about athletes in general, you touched on it a little bit, like how has the athletes today changed from the ones when you first started?
Well, it's not just the athletes, it's society, right? And athletes don't exist outside the boundaries of society,
right?
Okay, they're shaped by them, right? So society is changed, and I think we're in a transition period where some of the older values and traditions that we've had are morphing, and they're changing. Not all of them, but many of them. And one of those things is just the relationship between adults and youth, right? What does that look like today? Well, when I was a kid, you just kind of kept your mouth shut. and that was pretty much it. No one really wanted to explore your feelings, what you thought, what you felt about a particular situation. You were just to do, and that had some, for its time, I think it had some benefits, but I think we've learned that there are different ways. My kid, I grew up with corporal punishment and all the stuff that goes along with that, right? And I thought to myself, well, maybe I can do things differently, right? Maybe there's a better way. Yeah, I think it's okay for me to say that. I think maybe there's a better way. And one of the things that I know I try to do is empower the kids to think rationally, right? And control that process, right? So kids nowadays have a different expectation of how they should be treated.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's nothing wrong with having that expectation. That doesn't mean that as an adult or as a parent, you're losing power. As a matter of fact, I think if you play it right, you're gaining some power.
Right. Answer.
You want to think of your kid all the time?
Right.
You know how tiring that is?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That's good. That's powerful. Yeah, absolutely. Gaining some power and some freedom by empowering your kids, just exploring their emotions, teaching them how to explore their own emotions.
Yeah.
And
Just and let them go, let them do it. They're gonna make some mistakes. They're gonna fall down. Don't freak out.
right. Right. Yeah.
Just be
One of the things we often heard was like, or at least it felt that way. It's like, I don't care. Like, stop crying. I don't care. You know, you hear parents say, I don't care. And you
I'll
know,
give you something to cry for.
right. You know, they don't, well, we know that as an adult, they don't mean that. But as a child, that means my feelings don't matter to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then, what's funny about that, because once kids move into a certain age, they start to become so self-reflective that they don't talk as much as they used to, right? But what I found is if you plant the seeds early so that your kid understands that this communication thing is a two-way thing.
Right. Oh yeah.
Right. They're more likely when they go through that period to leave some space for you.
Yeah. And have
right?
that conversation and use their voice.
Use their words. Use their words. And that's how we coach.
Nice. So what are some of the things that you notice or have observed that hold athletes back mentally?
I'll give you an example. We have this one kid. He's probably potentially the best athlete on the team. If this kid were to go on the track and field, he'd be a star. He doesn't get the chance. He doesn't have much of a voice at home. So what I found is I don't talk to him about his play as much as I just try and give him a place that he can feel comfortable and open. The idea being that his problem isn't actually playing the sport, it's other stuff. He doesn't feel enough. And you can see that in his club, and there's a tendency to get overwhelmed, sometimes. And the more comfortable he feels about himself, right? Feeling a part of the team, feeling like when he says something, it's going to be taken seriously. I've even got to a point where I'll say something to him, and he'll go, yes, coach. I go, well, what do you really think? I appreciate your response, and I know you're being respectful. But what do you think? And he'll go, okay. Then we'll have a little bit of a snippet of a conversation about what's going on.
Right.
Rather than him just saying, "Oh, I hear you, coach. Thank you, coach. Oh, okay, that's good. I know you respect me, son. I know you do. But we're not talking about your respect me. Let's figure out what's really going on."
Yeah, that's so important for coaches to open up that line of communication and have, and like you said, make it a two-way street. I think informed athletes are faster athletes. And so the faster, the more information you give them and the more you allow them to express their understanding of that, because sometimes we give people things and we think they get it.
Yes. Because of our own ego.
Right.
We're teachers. We're such great teachers.
How can you not understand what I just told you? Right. So I think opening that line of communication just makes a better environment in general. And one thing you said in other spaces, he doesn't feel good enough. Right. Did you say that? I thought I heard you say that.
Yep.
Right? And so having that, that's the start of that self-confidence and the building up of that self-image. And so just that being able to express yourself is so important to that factor. I want to jump over to, because I talked about things that hold them back. And I think that being able to express themselves, you mentioned sometimes holding back. other spaces, not having the same freedom in other spaces sometimes hold athletes back mentally. But I'm thinking about injury, right? When I was in college, I sprained my ankle, right? And I remember spending a lot of time in the training room. I remember even as I came back and was close to coming back, coaches questioning my ability or my tenacity because I wasn't back on their timeline, those type of things. So I wanted to ask you about, like, after an injury, what are some things that you help athletes focus on as they come back or trying to come back?
Here again, man, I'm in a unique situation at Oakland High and for the Bay Area Wildcats. In the Bay Area Wildcats, the same coaching staff owns that business, and I work with their athletes as well. Okay? And in our environment, if a kid is injured, hey man, we're going to sit you down. We're going to get you well. When you aren't going to come back until you are ready to come back, and we are not going to put any pressure on that kid whatsoever to come back before they feel they're ready. Okay, that kid's going to get an opportunity to play in some scrimmages before they do come back. We're going to test it out thoroughly, right? So the biggest thing that I've noticed is the isolation piece that you mentioned earlier. And oftentimes, I think because of the culture, kids will self-isolate. The kid I was talking to you about that had the sprained ankle,
right?
He was self-isolating. He'd be with us because we keep the kid. If you're injured, yeah, you're going to do some stuff on your own, but you're going to be in the weight room, and you're going to be in the court with everybody else.
Right.
You're not going to be spending a ton of time away from us. You're going to still be there, but this kid, I think because of, again, what you mentioned, the culture of sports, the culture of coaching, and you're kind of soft, you're kind of weak, you got hurt. I don't think you're strong enough. I don't think your heart isn't, and all that kind of stuff. Man, we are not going there.
Right. Yeah.
We are not going there, man. And it doesn't help anybody.
It doesn't. Right.
It doesn't help anybody. Last year, our second best player got a concussion during the playoffs. Son, you're sitting. And until you're cleared and ready to go, we gonna roll, man. We gonna roll the team. We gonna be fine. We need you there on the bench. We need you to cheer for us. We need to feel your spirit, but you got to get healthy. That's the most important thing. Nothing is more important than your health.
Yeah.
And that's
great culture shift. Definitely great.
It took a while to get there. That's why I've been with this staff for 18 years. When I first started out, some of the concepts and ideas. Oh my goodness, bro. They're like, what are you talking about, man? What are you talking about? I said, just have a little patience, man. You'll see. So, so they've supported me in my approach for sure.
Awesome. So going out, I just wanted to ask you, I want you to give me, I got two questions to close this out. One, I want you to give me 3 I ams, right? I'm big on affirmation. I'm big on self-image, helping athletes develop what I call a performance identity, right? Who are you as a performer, right? And that starts with the I am. So I want you to give me your 3 I ams as a coach.
My 3 M's as a coach. I am available. Okay. I am worthy. Okay. I am your teammate.
Nice. I love them, especially that second one. Love that second one. And then the last question I want to ask you about is you posted a picture a while ago of you and Dame together. Did you coach Dame? I got some questions.
Let me tell you, man.
For the listeners that don't know, Damian Lillard, premier point guard of the Portland Trailblazers, went to Oakland High. And so I just want to, I want to hear some stories, or if that's
okay, man. So I got a Dame story. I got a Dame story for you here. Dame showed up June heading to his junior year of high school, right? And I'll never forget it. Kid shows up, and I go over to the head coach, and I go, so we got another 5'11" point guard, huh? Our whole team was like 5'11".
Right.
So I wasn't all that impressed. Yeah, and he said, no, man, this kid can go. Wait till you see him, because we were on the track at the time. Okay. And we were doing our off-season stuff, right? So I said, okay, cool. I'll check him. I'll check him out. So we on the track, man. We doing our stuff. And about 20 minutes into the workout, Dame stops. He just stops, and he had this look on his face of bewilderment. and he goes, how is this helping me be a better basketball player?
Nice. Man,
I almost died, man. Now, fortunately, the team had a bunch of his friends from the Rebels on the team, right? PJ Taylor, don't know if you know him, but PJ was on the team at the time, and PJ just said, man, shut up. Right. Shut up, just wait. Just be patient, just wait, and you're going to see what's going to happen, right? So 6 months later, so he stuck with it. It still took about another 2 months before he totally bought into what we were doing. Because, my stuff is track and field oriented.
Right.
And back then, nobody was doing that stuff.
Right.
Everybody's doing it now. They got the cones out and doing the fire and all this stuff. And, I was doing that stuff way back in the day, okay? So 6 months later, I'll never forget it. We're in a tournament, Marin Catholic tournament. In fact, Phil Handy was there.
Oh, yeah, Phil, the great.
Yeah, Phil was there, because Phil was training them boys over in Marin County.
Okay.
Phil was just starting his whole business out at that time, right? Because I met Phil at Club One.
Club One, yeah.
Yeah, I met him at Club One. So Phil was there, and he had a bunch of D1 kids, man, and they were in this tournament, and we came out of nowhere, man, was just knocking people off, man. So we end up in the championship game, right? And we get a fast break. Dame gets a run out, and out of nowhere, he just rises up and tries to dunk on the 6'8" kid.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, so he comes to the bench. I'm like,
I love it.
Good kid, man. He pays for so much for our team. Uniforms and sneakers, and we take the kids to see him once a year. We go to Portland. One of the kids that he played with on our team in Oakland High is a coach now, has a family up in Portland. So we take the kids up there, put them on a plane, rent a house. We stay up there, play a few games, and we go see Dame play. And then after the game, we get to hang out with Dame at the center court.
Oh, that's dope. I love that.
Oh, it's way dope.
That's beautiful, man.
It's way dope. And, I had JTA for a minute, too, when he was a kid. Because JTA played for the Rebels, and of course, Dame played for the Rebels as well.
Right. Yeah, the Rebels, when I was coming up, the Rebels was like, you play for the Rebels. You was, I had the Marcus Coles and the Trevor and Talma Ike.
Okay.
Yeah, Jafar Williams, like, we had a squad.
You know what? You remind me. I want to tell you this story. Real quick. I don't know if you have time, but let me. So, Jabari Brown. Okay. He was fourth-ranked player in the nation as a senior. Ended up going to Oregon. I want to tell you about a mistake I made, and maybe this will help some other coaches down the road. So anyway, we're on a road trip. We're hanging out, right? And we're having a good time. We're partying and eating and all this kind of stuff. We're bonding, right? So the music is on, and Jabari says, Coach Max, come on, man, let me see your James Brown impersonation. I was too embarrassed. I didn't let my hair down, and I made a mistake. That was a mistake.
Yeah.
It was an opportunity. He gave me an opportunity to get closer with him.
Yeah.
But I was in my own head too much, couldn't let my hair down enough, couldn't be vulnerable in front of this young man and the team. And I have regretted that to this day. And that happened 12 years ago.
That's a nugget, man. That's gold. I mean, we talk about success, but we learn so much from things we consider mistakes. And that right there, that could help. I don't know how many coaches.
Hey, man, if the kid asks you to be vulnerable, if the kid asks you to be silly, the kid a joke or something like that, do it.
Mm.
Do it. They're trying to reach you.
Right. Trying to build that connection.
Yes, they're trying to touch you. They're trying to touch you. So I ain't making that mistake anymore. I haven't made that mistake since.
Amen. Coach Mass, I appreciate you, man. Love you, brother. Thank you for coming on. So much game. We'll definitely have you back. And I got some.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, I got some things to talk to you about just in general coming up. We got the mental agility combine, all of that stuff coming up. So I will plug you in, man. Again, this is Accelerated Results Podcast. Remember, we just want to see you win. Until next time, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you for having me, my brother.
All right, brother. Thanks. Peace.